Welcome back to the channel, Douglas here, and in today's video, I wanted to make just a quick chill beat with you guys here on the MPC Key 61 using the new MPC3 public beta. So the MPC3 beta has been out for a little while. I didn't get it till late summer, maybe, when the public beta came out. I wasn't in the first non-public, but on the MPC Key 61, I wanted to just I've made a bunch of videos on the MPC software and the keyboards, and with MPC3 kind of on the horizon, I wanted to just show you my workflow here, just build a beat together. I'm gonna be honest, I have zero planning done for this beat. So I don't even know what sounds I'm gonna do or anything like that. We're just gonna jump right into it and have a little fun. We're gonna start off by hitting New Project. And you're gonna notice some differences if you're using the current MPC2 software on this 7-inch screen here. It doesn't look much different from the instrument view, but if I come over to the main track view, this is where things start to get different from a visibility and even functionality perspective. So right away, if we double tap on here, we can see we've got these different plugin programs and then our drum kit there, this trap kit. So this is just a new project by default. It inserts those 4 plugin programs and this drum track. So we can see a couple of different things in this view right here. So we can tap on either of these little kind of towers to expand the track settings and the output settings. So again, so we can see right there our, in this case, drum program volume and then the output volume here. We have this FX tab, send tab, and then IO tab on each of these little towers. We can tap on them to expand and collapse them. And then we can do all the typical stuff within this view here. For example, this is the drum program. I don't know, maybe we just use that as the drum for our kind of chill track here. We've got this arrangement view right here, and I'll jump to that and show you that here a little bit later. There's nothing really to show right now. And then up here, we have our sequence. So if we double tap that, we have only one sequence by default here. And then we have some of those sequency type settings here, like how many bars. So we can tap on that, and let's bring this up to 8 bars. So any one of these, we can double tap on to open up that more, the larger view with like the number pad, or we can just scroll the wheel, our big encoder wheel here, to choose the value. So kind of a personal preference there. Transpose, we've got that little function here. We have some quick functions. If we just drag down from the top here, we have the ability to set our timing correct, metronome, things like that. Whether we want this to loop or not loop, I'm gonna leave it on loop. We're just gonna loop through these 8 bars. I'm gonna just do a chill little beat. I'm gonna keep the metronome on, and then we're gonna come back. We're gonna close this little drop down here. We need to make sure our sequence is armed, and then we can arm the track. And if we come over to here, again, these are our tracks. Each of these tracks is tied to a particular plugin, as you can see with all of these different tracks. Let's start with the drums. I feel like that's a decent place to start. This is our beats per minute up here. I'm kind of breezing through a lot of this because this isn't really a how to use MPC3. Stay tuned. I have a lot of videos coming on the MPC, I have the 61 and the 37. And a lot of these principles apply to any of the MPC hardware when I'm talking about the MPC2 or the MPC3 interface here. On our beats per minute, let's go ahead and do a 96. And we'll just see what that sounds like. I think that's good. That'll give us kind of this slow, just do a 4/4 timing. We won't go overly complicated here. I am gonna rename my track by just holding down on that track tab and coming in here and saying drums. And we've got, all of our different settings here as well. So we can close that. Now, if we wanted to change the track type that we're dealing with here, we could hold down on that little icon there, and that's where we can set our track type. And again, we can hold down on the name to get to the name. Before we get recording, we also have a couple of additional views. So we have this view that has basically our tracks. And then we can come over to this view, which gives us a representation of the samples within this particular drum program. So Coming over to here again, we've got this 8 bars. We have our timing correct, which we can see here, or we can drag down and we can see the timing correct here. We can also hold on it to get to those settings. So I'm just gonna come over here. I don't really know. I have no idea what we're gonna do here for a beat, but we're just gonna start building this from scratch. So I've hit record, which is arming this track, and then I'm gonna hit play start. It's gonna give me a 4-beat count in. I'm just gonna start recording. It's gonna go 8 bars and then it's gonna loop. So let's put down maybe the kick and the snare first. I'm gonna go with this sound here. Yeah, I like these two, pad 1 and 2. There. All right, so I missed one little tss at the beginning. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say overdub, play start. I'm gonna add that one little piece in. So we're gonna stop there. That gives us our kick, snare, and our hi-hat. This is starting to become the backbone of this beat. Again, first try, I don't even know where this is headed. So you're on an adventure with me. Let's come back over to plugin number 1. Again, all the same stuff applies here. Like we could hold down to rename, to change the plugin settings. I didn't really show that too much on the drums, but if we come in, if you keep scrolling, while you only have the tracks here, if I come back, let me double tap on that again. Oh, whoops. Come back, go back. You can see submixes, returns, outputs, all that good jazz. And as you scroll, it's gonna scroll through all of those. So next, let's scroll over to plugin number 1. I'm gonna change this right now. It's this Fabric XL Awakening. I don't really like that. Anytime you have this sustaining sound that you wanna just get rid of, you can double tap stop and that gets rid of that. So let's come in here. Let's just tap on our plugin, go to sounds. We probably don't even have to tap on plugin. Let's come over to Mini D. This is a plugin that I got for free when I got the MPC3 They had a little deal going on. Let's just grab a bass sound here. I mean, first one, mini wood. Who doesn't love a little mini wood? So let's come over here and go record and play start. So we've got our drums. Let's just actually, before we do that, let's remind ourselves what the drums sounded like. All right. So let's go with the key of B flat. Everyone loves the key of B flat. So we're gonna go record. What's nice here is you can see on this little record, it shows almost this pie chart, and that's showing us where we are in the sequence. You can see that a little bit better if we come over to our arrange view. There's some quick buttons over here that we could get to the same thing. But you can see here, it gives us this nice linear view of all of our tracks, as well as the MIDI notes for those particular tracks. And you can see we're about 2/3 of the way through. That little chart there on that record arm shows about 2/3. So we're gonna do play start, which is gonna bring us right back to the beginning. And let's just, I don't know, we're just gonna roll with it. Now we had a mistake in there. Let's go fix that. So if we come over to our arrangement, this is where I was gonna show you here. We have this view and we can double tap on this to open up the big kind of grid editor that we're used to seeing. We can scroll here. I had a mistake, so let's come tap about the middle here up in this top. That's our playback. So you can see here, I have this particular note. If I scroll in, this one right here, I do not want. So we're going to tap on erase and we're going to get rid of this note here. Let me come back, play this. I like it. Zoom out. Let's come back to our track. Come over to here, play start. We can add effects to this by coming to our plugin track and just tapping on one of these little inserts. Let's come in here. Woohoo! And then we can tap on this to edit the effect. And bring the mix down. We're getting somewhere. I don't know, maybe this is not even going to be a chill beat, but we're just rolling with it. All right, so let's minimize those. Let's change our plugin name here to bass because that's what it is. Let's come into track number 2. I'm just scrolling with my wheel while I'm highlighted in this tab here. And let's come into our plugin. We can choose it here. I keep doing that by default, but let's come into sound. Let's come over to Fabric XL. Let's grab ourselves a beautiful little pluck sound, because who doesn't love a little pluck sound? Wrong key, but I use droplets a lot, so I'm gonna go away from that one. We're gonna try another one. That could be fun. Let's try that. Sometimes you just got to experiment. I forgot what riff we did. I'm gonna hit record. I'm gonna come back, play start, just redo. When you do record instead of overdub, it just cleans everything and re-records it. Man, I don't know what's happening with this beat, but let's go ahead and save it before we lose anything. To do this, I'm just going to hit menu, save the project, and I don't know what we call this. Let's call this Mini Wood because, yeah. So we're going to save this, and that way we can always just come back and hit save and not lose anything if something were to happen. Not saying it's gonna, but let's change this to Pluck. Pluckety pluck, do it, close. Now, one thing that's really nice about the MPC line is you can do this live looping recording thing. I'm not doing it here. I'm kind of stopping in between each track. Sometimes what I'll do is set all my tracks up. I'll do a little premeditation, set all the tracks up with the sounds I want, and then just hit record, do it, scroll to the next track, and you can continuously record and do the whole song that way. Now, there's a lot more. We're doing just a simple 8-bar beat. You could turn this into a song by doing a lot of different things. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's see. We've got drums, bass. I feel like we need some sort of funky string. Let's go with a string. Let's come back to track sound. Do a studio string. Let's find something. Not dig in the strings. Sometimes you go down a route, turn around, you come route back. Go to OP4. Let's come in and try, I don't know. I want something, we're headed into Christmas. Let's try a bell. That could be. Da, 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 dun. Ooh. All right, let's try that. Might be totally wrong. Totally wrong. Dun, da, 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 da. All right, let's Let's try this one more time. I think we can, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to record just in case. All right, so we're pretty much a 1, 5, 4, 5, somewhere in there. Try recording this. Starting to get a little bit of movement and width in there. We're going to roll with that and add one more track or 2 more tracks or whatever we feel like. We're just going to call this key bell. It helps to name these. I'll show you here in a little bit when we get into the track mutes. I'm going to come over to track number 4 and let's just come into our sounds here. Let's go over to mini D and grab ourselves this, I don't know, a synth pad. Oh, I like that one. Let's go. We're just going to roll with it. Don't like that? Nope. Feels messy. Let's just try a simple one-noter. Now we start to glue it together. So we've got the rhythm, this is the driving factor. That's great. We're gonna come in and do synth for this, even though it's kind of a wah. Synth. Okay, close. We need another track. So granted, we've got 5 tracks here. One of them's drums. Nice thing is here, we can just tap new track. Woo, we can pick the track. We want a plug-in track. Now, check it out. We've got the number here represents the track number. We could see this same thing, not here, here, the same thing here. We've got these different tracks. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Our 5th one is drums. 6 is this new one. So let's come over to number 6. So let's come in and do some sort of lead. Just give this a little bit of a melody. Honestly though, our pluck sort of is a melody. Let's do hype, soft leads. I'm going to go further in here and see if we can find a... Yeah. Maybe we went too far. It has kind of an Owl City vibe to it. Not that we were going Owl City, but let's just... I'm not going to record. I'm just going to play maybe 4 bars and see what inspiration comes. So I think we need a little more activity in our melody. And we can span held notes with a little bit of vibrato to keep it from being too boring. Let's just try this. close. Let's try it again. I fumbled that. We're going to redo that. We're going to bring our timing correction up to 1/32 because it was taking some of my notes. And I'm going to turn timing correct off for this track. I want a little bit of that natural feel to it. Let's roll. Now, let's touch on some effects. Let's save this real quick. Go to Menu, Save, Project. It already knows. We named it. We stored it. So it's just going to save over. MPC key 37 has this nice little save button. We don't have that here. So we'll just come back here. And let's talk effects for a second before we go into track mute. Then we'll wrap this video up. Hopefully this has been fun for you to kind of see this workflow. So let's just tap on, when we open up our little columns here, we have our plugin program right here, which let's go ahead and rename this. Whoops, hit the wrong thing. Let's go rename this lead. And that way we know instead of just plugin 6. So we've got lead. I'm going to open up this column or drawer. Terminology, not sure it matters. So we've got these tabs here. We're going to tap on the FX, which is our effects. We can jump out, see kind of that traditional effects screen. I like working in here. This is kind of cool. We also have this rack, so we could come in here and there's pre-built racks for, like if we just hit bright vocal, it brings in effects. Really cool stuff. I'm going to come out. I'm going to delete, delete, delete. And we're just going to tap on this first insert slot. What do we want to do for our lead to give it a little more characteristic? Do we want to give it some auto tune? I don't think so. I think what we want to do is come into the reverb and delay. And I honestly kind of like that. What did we do for a setting here? We did this flam delay. A little bit of movement compared to what we had before. Let's come back out to our track here. And let's come into this view here. So when we hit play, we can see our levels. And then we can grab and drag this volume slider. Double click on it to come into this expanded view if we want. And then we can see up here our track names that we gave them. So again, really helpful to name your tracks. Let's do a quick mix. Now you could record the automation of you doing the volume sliders by turning automation on. I did not, so that isn't there. We've got our pan volume. We have our effects. This view is just a spectacular view that's similar to what you'd have in a DAW, like a multi-track DAW. Really cool stuff. One thing I wanted to show you is the mute. So if we come into mute, here we can see the names as well. So we hit play. Now each of these 6 tracks, you could have way more. There's different banks, etc., etc. You can see they line up here, and if I tap on them, I am muting them. But what's interesting is we can choose to mute the event or mute the audio. So let me just demonstrate. With the audio, you're going to get a clean cut of that audio when you mute it. So check this out. Immediate cut of that lead sound. Whereas if we do event, it's going to mute the events beyond when we hit mute, but the audio is still going to tail off. So you saw that delay? A much better way to do a mute than to cut the audio, unless of course you want that audio. Now the other thing that we could do here is we could change these to solo instead of mute. I usually do those on mute, so not a big deal there. So we could mute them by tapping here or by tapping here. So pretty cool. We could actually expand this. We could duplicate the sequence out, give us, let's 32 bars and duplicate all of what we just played. Then we could record automation of our track mutes and unmute them, record those unmutes, and then we'd be on our way to a song. The other way to do this is make a copy of this sequence, which gives us all the tracks, use or re-record parts of the tracks. So each sequence can have different notes for the tracks. And then we could use song mode and stitch those together into a song, doing like an intro, verse, chorus, etc. So hopefully that gives you a little insight into my workflow, as well as kind of a peek at the MPC3 software. I love it so far. I'm not overly picky when it comes to interfaces. I work with software all the time. And so it's a matter of getting used to something new. And I get that, it can be a little daunting. So if you want to get notified of new videos I post on how to use the new MPC3 software, as time goes on, this is going to become a public release that you're going to be able to update your current MPC with. Or if you're just getting into the MPC world, stay tuned to this channel. I'm going to be sharing a lot with you over the coming months. I'm really excited to be tickling the MPC again after a busy summer of travel and other music stuff. And it kind of pulled me away from the beat making and more into the live playing. And it's fun to shift back and to continue playing with the beta MPC3 and share some stuff with you guys along the way. So if you have any questions about what I went over in this video, throw those down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching. Stay inspired and keep making that music.